Hi, welcome back to Copic in the Craft Room. Michelle Houghton here. This week I am coloring up this adorable stamp from Heffy Doodle. This is a new stamping company to me, but I'm sure some of you have seen their beautiful stamps. Now this one just struck me and it's so adorable. So what I did is I layered some stamps. I used a tiny piece of Post-it note just to cover up my coins and create the pot so it looks like they're sitting in that pot of gold. And so I created this little scene. I'm going to color that up and I'm going to create a background as well with my Copic markers, and then I've even got a card to show you at the end. So I'm zooming in and we're going to pick some markers. Of course I'm going to speed this up just because it is a full scene. I'm not going to be able to slow this down. So I'm going to start with G21, and that's going to be the base of his green clothes. I love this little guy. He just makes me laugh and kind of makes me want to do a little jig. So I've got his pants and his jacket, and I'm also going to do his hat green. And obviously you can do a whole variety. This could become a whole different character if you didn't do all the green like I'm doing. He could be something much different. G24 is next. That's going to be my mid-tone. I am using pretty much all natural blending groups. I think most of them are all natural blending groups, and I'm keeping the color scheme pretty simple today. G28. Now I'm doing a light source. This is pretty much coming front and center, so it's coming down front and center, which is a pretty natural light source. He's out in the sunshine, so he's getting shaded from the bottom up and from the outer edges inward some. So he's got his pants. Now I'm smoothing this out. So I'm backtracking and going back to my G24. And then once I get that area smoothed out in between the G28 and G24, I'm going back to my G21. Now what you can't see with this speed is I'm doing some small circles and I'm also flicking those areas to get them to smooth out. Now I decided this wasn't bright enough, so I'm actually going in with YG01. And that's going to brighten those greens up because it's adding that yellow back in. And I based his little vest in that, and then I added YG03 for just a touch of shading on the vest. I'm going to do a whole bunch of things that are black. I'm starting with C5 on the hat band and his little shoes. And then I'm coming back in with C9 and C7 and then C9, sorry. To darken those up. Now I'm trying to leave small highlights, so I've got a little bit of a highlight at the center of the hat, and then on the very tip of that, kind of the toe of the shoe, and I'm actually pushing that even further, coming in with the Colorless Blender. This one shoe to the right side bled out a little bit, so I'm pushing that back with Colorless Blender as well. The pot of gold is getting based in C7. I'm going to struggle a little bit here, and you're going to see this with the shape of this, and I should have practiced it with pencil first to see really where I wanted the highlight, what shape I wanted to go with. C9 is coming in, and I'm going underneath the coins to push that area back so it looks like it goes into the pot and onto the pot. C7, I'm blending that out, and then I'm using the Colorless Blender to try to fade some of that, to really fade it into white. I could use a whole range, but the grays tend to blend really easy, and then I change my mind. I think maybe I need more of a hard edge over here, and I realize immediately that's definitely not what I need. So I color the whole thing C7, and now I'm going back to do more of a rounded highlight on this pot. I am working this really hard with my Colorless Blender, and I ended up putting an absorbent like tissue underneath to even pull some of that. The rim is getting C5. And then a little bit of Colorless Blender. Notice that the highlight's about in the same area as the one on the pot. C7 on the little feet. Then I'm going back in and doing a little more cleaning on my leprechaun up under his shoulder and around his shoe. I do know that I'm going to do a background on this, so even if I've got a little bit of fuzz going, I'm not too worried. YR14 is going to be the base of his beard. It's going to be a red beard. E99 are just some little tiny flicks trying to figure out that shape and where to get those hairs started and finished. And E09 is the last color. I love that color for red hair to kind of base it. Y21 is basing all those gold coins, and then Y28 is going to come in and hit the edges and just a little bit on the top. Kind of, I'm trying to avoid the stars themselves, but really I'm just trying to add a little bit of shape. I know they're not round like a ball, and so I'm just playing with it to add dimension. I feel like it's still too flat when I leave them solid Y21. So I'm happier with this, leaving those stars in the center kind of all the way with that Y21 and then shading kind of around them. C1 and Colorless Blender on his little socks, making him look a little more round and then doing a little more correcting around the toe and shoulder. Touching a little bit of Y28 to the buckle on his hat and then basing the skin in E50. Really light, fair skin. E01, again, kind of that front and center light source, so the shading comes in around from the sides, blending that together, and then adding a tiny bit of R21 on each of the cheeks. He's a happy fellow, got rosy cheeks, doing his jig. And then I brightened up his beard a little bit. I wasn't totally happy with how that turned out, so Y21 and a little bit more E99 on the beard. Happier now. So then I'm starting on the base, and I've got a YG63 to start, or 03 to start, sorry. So it's a nice bright green, which I really do like that. And this, I've done these heels before like this, pretty similar. So I'm using the chisel nib, notice, or it's actually called a medium broad nib, but most of us call it the chisel nib. So I'm filling that in fast using lots of little circles, and that's going to give me that nice, solid, even base. And then I'm going to come in with 2 more colors to add a little bit of dimension to that hill. But as I bring these colors in around the background, some of those little tiny bleed out areas on my image kind of just disappear. So now I've got that YG09. Now I'm avoiding the top edge of the hill and kind of coming down from that. Because I have that YG03 on the page already, it's nice smooth coloring. It goes fairly quickly. And then I'm smoothing it out using that YG03. So I don't need it totally smooth because I know it's ground and has some texture. YG67 is actually going underneath my little leprechaun and underneath my pot of gold, and then I'm smoothing that out with the YG09. Again, I don't need it to be a real solid. He's moving around, for one. And then, last but not least, we have some sky. Now, this is a BG000, but I'm going to run out here fairly quickly, and it's silly for you guys to watch me fill in a sky. All I'm doing is small circles going out a distance. I do add some clouds, and this is kind of a fun new technique I've been trying, so I will show you how to do that in an upcoming video. Thanks for joining me this week. Have a happy, colorful week.